Okay, so in this session, as we were interacting in the previous session about how this common base configuration can be employed for the operation of a transistor. So we'll deal with this particular topic now. Okay. Now in this common base operation of a transistor, now again I need to remember in my mind that I'm going to use this transistor, okay, in the active mode. I'm going to use this transistor in the active mode. So this is what you people should remember. Okay, this is very important. Okay, it is implicit, but still you people need to have this topic in the mind that my transistor is operating in an active mode. Okay, now let me say that this is my transistor. Okay, so base is common. Common base indicates what? The base is common. The base is common both to input side as well as to the output side. Okay, the base is common to both your input side as well as the output side. So this is my emitter, this is the collector, and this is the base. So now I'm going to take this base common to both my input side as well as the output side. Okay, so this is my input side, this is my output side, this is emitter, this is collector, and this is the base. And I've defined my base as common both to input as well as the output. Okay, now as I said you people that I'm going to operate this transistor in an active mode. I know that emitter base junction should be forward biased. Yes or no? So this is N region, this is P region, and this is once again N region. So it's an NPN transistor. Okay, so this is an NPN transistor. Okay, so now what is that I'll be doing over here? I'll be connecting. I'll be connecting negative side since I want to forward bias emitter to base junction. So I'll be connecting an negative terminal here and a positive terminal here. Okay, and I call this voltage as VEE. Okay, I'll call this voltage as VE. So as you know, if I don't have any of the resistance in the circuit, then I'll be having a very huge current which will be flowing in this loop. In order to limit the current, in order to limit this current, I will be including some resistance in the circuit. So this resistance, let me call this as RE. Let me call this resistance as the resistance RE. Okay. Similarly, now with respect to your collector to base junction, okay, this has to be reverse biased. This has to be reverse biased. Since this has to be reverse biased, now what I should do? This is N section, so I need to connect positive terminal of the battery here, and this is a negative terminal should be connected to the positive. So this is reverse biased. Okay, this is reverse biased. Then, since again, if at all if I don't include any resistance into this loop, then the current which is going to flow will be very huge. So in order to limit this current, I'll be including one more resistance on this outer loop or this outside loop. Okay, so this resistance is said to be as RC. This resistance is said to be as RC. Okay, is it clear to you? Okay. So now, just a minute. Okay. So this resistance is RC. Now, I know that what is the directions of the current that we have discussed. So in the previous section itself, I have taken the uh, block diagram of my NPN transistor, and I have shown how is the flow of current IE, flow of current IB, and flow of the current IC. So taking this as an input, so taking this interaction as an input, now I know that how I should define the directions of the current into the loops. So this current will be IE. This is the direction of current IE. This is the direction of the current IB, and this is the direction of the current IC. This is the direction of the current IC. Okay. Then now what is that I need to understand over here is, now since I'm operating this transistor in the active mode, so the junction J1 is forward biased and junction J2 is reverse biased. So it is my port wherein I'm going to apply my weak signal. Okay, this is the port wherein I'm going to apply my weak signal. So I can apply some weak signals on this port. Okay, and I'll find some amplified signal onto my output side. I'll be able to find my amplified signal onto my output side. Now, to start this interaction, okay, to start this interaction, let me say that, since we know we have discussed the structure of an NPN transistor, so we are having two junctions, junction J1 and junction J2. Now, since we are operating this transistor in the active mode, so junction J1 is forward biased, junction J2 is reverse biased. Now, what is this junction J1? What is the junction J2? Now, if you see your junction J1, it is emitter base junction. Okay, it is EB junction, emitter base junction. And what is the junction J2? Junction J2 is your base collector junction. Is a base collector junction. Okay. Now, very important thing, very interesting thing, will make your analysis of transistor very simple. What we'll do is, we'll realize our transistor as two diodes. Very important thing. So normally, most of the things, when you know the fundamental concepts related to the diode, for that time you can understand this operation of transistor when you make your transistor to be seen as two diodes in back to back. Okay, then I can call that EB junction as one diode, or EB diode, I can call it like this, and BC as one more diode called as BC diode. Understanding? So this is BC junction diode and this is EB junction diode. Okay, so now when I discuss the topic related to the diode, so you can see here I'm having only one P side, one N side, and there is only one junction. Okay, you are having only one junction. Since you are having only one junction, I can say that this is a single port component. This is a single port component. Okay, but when it comes to a transistor, the transistor is having two ports. Yes or no? You are able to see it. One is your input port, one more is your output port. Because you are having two diodes back to back. Somewhat like this. Okay, so this is one diode, second diode connected back to back. So this is your N, P, N, emitter, base, collector. Okay, so these are terminals which are accessible by you people. Okay, so this is the internal structure of two diode transistor. Understanding? The same thing I'm saying here, that I'm having one junction J1. So this is my junction J1. This is my junction J2. The junction J1 is been formed by emitter base. Okay, junction J2 is formed by base to collector. Understanding? Now, since this is a two-port kind of a system, port 1 being your input, port 2 being your output. So since it's having two port, you'll be getting two characteristics, such as input characteristics as well as output characteristics, which is not true in case of your diode. You'll be getting just forward bias characteristics of the diode. What happens when the voltage is applied across this component? How is the behavior of current? This is what we are going to realize it in case of this diode. But that doesn't happen over here. Keeping your output port constant, what happens to your input port when voltage is increased. This is becomes your input characteristics. Nothing but plot of input voltage versus input current becomes your input characteristics by keeping output constant. By keeping your input constant, what happens when output voltage is varying? What is the change what is being seen in the output current? This becomes your output characteristics. That is why for a transistor you are having an input characteristics and output characteristics. Okay, now in my circuit, now if at all, if I just ignore this resistance Re, if I ignore this resistance Re, because Re is just resistance to limit the value of current in this loop. Re is just a resistance which is being included in order to limit the current in the loop. Okay, so if I just neglect my Re, I'm just neglecting it. I'm not removing it from the circuit. I'm just ignoring the presence of my resistance Re. Then what happens? Then my input voltage, nothing but VBE will be equal to VEE. So what is VEE? VEE is the source voltage. The source voltage. Now, if I include this resistance Re, of course, there will be some voltage drop across this. So, I am assuming that there is no resistance at all. This is a dead shot. So, when there is no resistance, it simply means VEE is equals to VBE is equals to VBE. Understanding? Then, similarly, if I neglect my resistance RC, if I neglect my resistance RC, if I neglect this resistance, if I assume that it's a short, no resistance is there, then in that case I can say that VCB 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 should be equal to VCB should be equal to your VCC. So this is your source voltage VCC. Source voltage VCC. Now you may be feeling that, sir, here I should. Is it possible to write VEB? Something like this, VEB, V voltage. No. If I write this VEB, then it is wrong. Why? Because now here your I can say that base is at higher potential than compared to your emitter. So base is at higher potential than compared to your emitter. So therefore it has to be written as VBE only. It has to be written as VBE only. So it's the reason why I'm writing VBE is equals to VEE and your VCB. Even you can see here VCB. Collector is at higher potential. Collector is at higher potential. So I'm able to write this as VCB should be equal to VCC. Understanding? Is it clear to you? Okay. So now since over here collector is at higher potential, okay, and over here and sorry, here collector is at higher potential and base is at lower potential. But in this case here base is at higher potential and emitter is at low potential. Now, so if I write the equation for current in this circuit, what is that I'll be getting? So if I treat this as one node, this transistor as one node, if I treat this transistor as one node, and if I write for equation of current, then I'm simply applying KCL. So as per Kirchhoff's current law, it states that summation of all the incoming current should be equal to summation of all the outgoing current. Yes or no? So now here outgoing current is what? IE. Outgoing current is IE, which will be equal to summation of incoming current IB plus IC. IB plus IC. Okay, so let me call this as equation 1. Now, if I want to know what is the current which is being seen on the collector side, so which will be given by alpha times that of IE plus reverse saturation current ICO. Reverse saturation current ICO. Okay, now since I want to say that this ICO is nothing but a current which is seen on common base. It's a current which is seen on the common base. So this same equation I can write it as IC is equals to alpha times that of IE, same as this. I'm not changing anything over here. Plus I'll write this as ICBO, wherein this B is indicating a common base reverse saturation current, a common base reverse saturation current, and this current is seen when it is open circuited, okay, is it clear to you? Now normally what happens is, since this ie value is much greater than of ICBO. Okay, since IE value is much greater than that of ICBO, because IE is because of your majority charge carriers, and ICBO is just because of minority charge carriers. Is because of minority charge carriers. I can simply say that since IE is much greater than that of ICBO, I can simply neglect this for my higher analysis. I'm not saying this is not present or this is not existing. It is existing, but when compared with the IE, this can be neglected. This can be neglected. So when I neglect this, my IC is equals to alpha times that of IE. My IC becomes alpha times that of IE. Okay. Now, if I write an equation for alpha, then alpha is being given by what? IC divided by RE. Here we are defining a very important term with respect to the transistor. So this IC is said to be collector current, IE is said to be an emitter current, alpha is said to be as an common base current gain. This alpha is said to be as common base current gain, okay, which is also called as or amplification factor. Amplification factor. To be more specific, current amplification factor. Current amplification factor. Because you know, when I am saying the word gain, you know that since already you have studied the topic of op amps, so you know that a voltage gain is being given by a ratio of output voltage to input voltage. So this is in terms of voltage. Okay. In general, if at all, if I want to speak something about the gain, how do you write the equation? A gain in a circuit is been defined as a ratio of output to input. Output to input might be the voltage, might be the current, etc. So now since I am having the parameters in terms of current, so this alpha is said to be a gain parameter related to the current. That's why it is called as current amplification factor. IC being your output current and IE being your input current. So ratio of output current to input current is said to be a current, your common base current gain. Okay. Normally your alpha value will be in the range of 0.95 to 0.98. This is the value of your alpha. So if I just approximate, or if you want to understand what's the meaning of this range, I simply mean to say that 95% to 98% of electrons, they are seen from your emitter to collector. It simply means 5% to 2% of electrons involved in recombination at the base. Only 5% to 2% of electrons, okay, involved in recombination at base. Okay, so I can simply approximate this. Let me choose alpha is equals to 1. I am simply saying that no electrons are involving in recombination, and all the electrons emitted from the emitter or ejected from the emitter are getting accumulated on the collector. So in that case, I can simply say that my IC will be equals to IE in this assumption. When alpha is equals to 1. Okay, alpha is equals to 1. Now, so with this I can simply say that my base current IB will be equal to 1 minus alpha times that of IE. Okay, and my IC will be just alpha times that of IE. These are once again the two important equations that I'm going to get it from this interaction. Okay, so if you are really interested that how I'm writing this 1 minus alpha, how I'm writing this alpha and all, I will just say you one simple logic. Okay, I'll just say you one simple logic. Okay, wherein let me say that this is my collector, this is my base, and this is my emitter, which is NPN. Okay, we said that n number of electrons are going to be ejected from the emitter. Okay, n number of electrons are going to be ejected from the emitter. Then we said 1 minus alpha n is the number of electrons which is being seen in the base. Okay, and only alpha n is the electron which is seen on the collector side. Right? Now, what is the equation you are having? You are having the equation IE is equals to your IB plus your IC. So nothing but I am just employing KCL onto this transistor, treating this as a node. So this is my IE, this is my IB, and this is my IC. Okay, so my IE will be equal to IB plus IC if I apply KCL on this node. So now what is my IE? IE is emitting n number of electrons. IE is emitting n number of electrons. Okay, I know that since almost during our interaction we have said that base is having very small space. So all the electrons emitted from the emitter or ejected from the emitter, they cannot accompany on the base. Understanding? So all these electrons, they're going to travel to your collector. So it means because of less doping, because of less space available, or because of the width of our base being less, since we are saying 1 minus alpha n of electrons that are seen on the base side, then naturally alpha n will be the electrons which are seen on the collector side. Now to make this LHS same as that of RHS, now you just take this n inside. If I take this n inside, what happens? N minus alpha n plus alpha n. Understanding? So here alpha n get cancelled, giving out, this is what I am able to say, that if you assume your alpha is equals to 1, the current what is being seen on the collector is same as that of the current which is seen on the emitter. I hope you're able to understand this. So IC is equals to IE, whatever equation I'm doing over here, same I'm able to prove it when I define in terms of electrons. So this is the equation which is talking in terms of electrons. So this is saying that number of electrons which is being ejected by emitter is equal to the number of electrons which is seen on the collector. It means my base contribution is 0. At base, we are not having any recombination happening. Understanding? Is it clear to you? Yes, is it clear to you?